And Congressman James Walkinshaw. He's a Democrat from Virginia and also a member of the House Oversight and Homeland Security Committees. So the right person to talk about what's been going on. Congressman, look, according to the GOP's plan to fund DHS, Democrats would be shut out of any ICE funding negotiations. The Senate Minority Leader told CNN that that's not enough, and he plans to make a counteroffer. Is that a strong enough move?
Look, I think it is pretty simple. If Republicans want more funding for ICE, there has to be real reforms. Democrats are clear and consistent on that. But we've also put on the table time after time after time after time funding for all of the other DHS agencies with the exception of ICE and CBP. Let's fund TSA, get those agents paid. Let's fund FEMA, get those folks paid. Let's fund our cybersecurity agency, get those folks paid, and continue to negotiate around the reforms that I think the American people want to see around immigration enforcement.
There's what you want and what you can get. How do you bridge the gap when it comes to those reforms?
Well, look, I think there are conversations taking place right now and hopefully over the next several days. And
Are they productive?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I hope they'll be productive. I hope Republicans will come to see, for example, President Trump said yesterday ICE agents in airports don't need masks. So if they don't need masks in airports and they're all over video cameras and social media without their masks in airports, they can go without their masks in communities across the country. One of the things Democrats have been demanding. So I think there's a path for an agreement either around those reforms and the funding to reopen all of DHS or to reopen the non-immigration enforcement agencies and continue to talk about it.
There's hemorrhaging right now at the TSA. I mean, 400 employees have already quit. Not called in sick. They quit at this point. How do you stop that from continuing to happen? I've been a federal employee. I've not been paid during a shutdown. People are angry. How do you stop it? And
it's important to note for those federal employees, including TSA agents, this shutdown comes on the heels of last year's shutdown, but also comes on the heels of the Trump administration and DOJ taking the chainsaw to the federal workforce. 300,000 federal workers fired or pushed out by this administration before the shutdown. So these folks have absolutely taken it on the chin. It is outrageous. It's unacceptable. I have a bill that would pay all of our federal workers during any shutdown this year, given what they've already been through. I hope get some Republican support for that bill, either during this shutdown or, God forbid, in a future shutdown. But we should be paying our TSA workers and then continuing to negotiate around the reforms for immigration and ICE.
I wonder if that can happen in a timely fashion. I mean, listen, today Minnesota sued the DOJ to demand that they turn over evidence that was related to the shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. You've been demanding similar documents, frankly, and from DHS as well. Now there's a new DHS secretary, former Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. Are you hopeful that he may be more cooperative with your requests?
I'm not hopeful. I hope he is, but I'm not hopeful. I mean, I think if you look at his track record, this is a guy who has a weird and strange inclination toward violence. We've seen him in Senate hearings try to start fights with people, talking about dueling. It's the year 2026 in the United States of America. He's a grown man, a United States Senator. He's talking about getting in fights and dueling.
So your intimation is that he would not be properly overseeing agents who have use of force tactics?
I have real concerns about the kind of example he will set as the leader of DHS. Also important to note, he has no experience in Homeland Security. Didn't serve on the Homeland Security Committee in the House, didn't serve on the Homeland Security Committee in the Senate, has no experience running a large organization. The Department of Homeland Security is a very large and complex organization. In my view, he doesn't have the experience and he doesn't have the temperament. I hope he proves me wrong, but I'm not hopeful that he'll prove me wrong.
I mean, he's been a member of Congress, obviously a senator. He may not have been part of DHS, but he has certainly asked for his share of documents and information. Do you think that his background in Congress might make him more likely to be cooperative, at least the disclosure, or will there be other hurdles?
Well, I hope it will, and I did see in his confirmation hearing, he noted that a lot of senators, maybe all senators, have his cell phone. Democrats and Republicans can call him if they're not getting the information that they need, and I hope he'll be true to his word there and respect Congress's critical role in conducting oversight of the department that he now leads.
Well, we'll see if those calls get blocked. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me. Congressman Walkinshaw.